Can you be fat and healthy?
Controversial question, and of course the answer is yes. If you've got low resting heart rate, you've got low or normal blood pressure, you've got low blood sugar levels or healthy blood sugar levels, and you can live your life the way you want to live it with activity, enthusiasm and excitement for life, one would suggest that it doesn't matter how much excess body fat you carry around. But is it possible that that's a very rare creature? There are very few people who carry large amounts of excess body fat and have those biomarkers going for them. Most people that carry excess body fat have high blood sugar levels, unhealthy blood pressure, they've got a very high resting heart rate, and they can't do all the things that they want to do. So what do you do if you're fat? And it's an interesting and very controversial question, but I'm out here with my dogs for a reason. If my dog is fat, and I've got 5 dogs, but if I take any of my dogs to the vet and they're fat, the vet gets very angry. This is very unhealthy for your dog. They are overweight. And I've heard some vets, because I have great relationships with the vets, they get really angry and they swear and they get very annoyed or sad or disappointed with the dog owners that supposedly love their dogs, and the dogs come into the vet and they're fat. It's bad for the dog. Well, is it good for a human? Now, it's an interesting thing to, again, consider. There is a big difference between types of fat and men and women. For example, if a man gets fat and he's got that big hard belly, visceral fat that is squishing your organs together is obviously very dangerous. If your organs don't work effectively, you're going to die. And that's usually what happens to men that get those big hard bellies. They die from a heart attack. They die from all the internal organs misfunctioning, malfunctioning, breaking down, busted, broken. They die. No woman has ever died of a fat bum. If you carry excess fat around your bum, the back of your arms, on your chest, your legs, that's supposedly for women to have lots of energy for having babies, which is great if you want to have a baby and you want to not die. Yay. So it's not dangerous fat, but having been an exercise professional all of my life, what does that do to your mental health? Now, there's a lot now going on about be fat and happy, and it doesn't matter what your body looks like, and it doesn't matter how much excess fat you carry around. Fat is beautiful, and fat people are happy, and there's a lot of that being said. But I'm an old lady who's worked with literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in big conferences and online and all over the world when it comes to being healthy, fit and strong. And I haven't met any women, that doesn't mean they don't exist, but I haven't met any women that if they could get a lean, healthy, strong, energetic, athletic-looking body and not carry excess body fat around, if they could go and buy one, they would. If they could be given that, they wouldn't. I'm fat at the moment and I want to stay that way for the rest of my life. Here's a brand new body. Oh, no, I don't want it. I want to stay fat. I've never met anybody like that. Everybody that's ever been honest with me, shared openly how they feel, they've all said, I pretend to be fat and happy, but I'm not. And if I could get rid of this excess body fat, I would. So there's 2 parts to this again. How to prevent getting fat in the first place so that you're lean and energetic and healthy for the rest of your life. But the second part is being healthy, mentally and physically healthy. And can you be healthy and fat? I'm going to say again, the answer is yes. But can you be mentally healthy and fat? Possibly. I just haven't met anybody like that. If food is controlling your life, if guilt is controlling your life, if stress is controlling your life, and they're all the people that I've worked with, people who don't want to eat food, anorexics, people who eat and throw up, bulimics, people who eat enormous amounts of food and then go and exercise it off for hours and hours, exercise bulimics. And then there's people that eat enormous amounts of food and don't do anything to get rid of it, and they just get fatter and fatter and fatter. That is all an emotional challenge inside the brain. That's got nothing to do with logic. And I always talk about the emotional eating scale, which is this end is logical, where you eat because you're hungry, you stop eating because when you're full. You eat, yes, you like to eat food, or you don't really care. You don't have an emotional attachment to food. At the other end of the emotional eating scale, food is controlling your life. You have an argument every time you eat food. Should I eat this? Shouldn't I eat this? Is it good for me? Is it bad for me? How many calories are in it? How much exercise do I have to do to burn it off? And it's just this horrible... Some people have shared with me it's like a nuclear war going every time they want to eat food or even think about eating food, because food is controlling their life. Now, that's not logical, of course, that's emotional. So how do we stay away from the emotional end of the eating scale? How do we be the people that eat because we're hungry? We stop eating because we're full. We enjoy all the foods that we eat. We eat for performance. We eat for pleasure. There's no guilt attached. There's no stress attached. It's just a normal part of life. And shouldn't food just be a normal part of life? Why do we need to can't have, mustn't have, don't have, shouldn't have, that's bad for you, this is how much you should eat, this is when you should eat? How about what's best for you? And the beautiful thing is when you've got a healthy endocrine system, when your hormones work effectively, they do all of that for you. You don't even have to think about it. You'll eat when you're hungry because your body tells you, we need some food, go eat. You'll stop eating when you're full because your body tells you, I've had enough to eat, don't give me any more. You go to sleep when you're tired, you drink when you're thirsty. Your emotions are under your control, not somebody else's. Because you're really fit and strong, you've got strong self-esteem, of course, so when somebody's mean or nasty to you or gossips about you or criticises you, you don't care because you feel good about yourself physically and mentally. So is it possible then that there are people who are fat who can be mentally healthy, and that's perhaps how that works because their endocrine system is healthy, their hormones are healthy, food doesn't control their life, they just like to eat food. And this is a really interesting story I'd like to share with you because it's maybe one of those examples, one of those very rare examples. So a lady came to my health club and she was very loud and boisterous and angry. She was 5 foot tall and 120 kilos in weight. Now, in her description, not mine, she said, I am easier to jump over than to walk around. So she was very short and very fat. And again, not my description. And I'll say this because I'm an old lady who's been around a really long time. If somebody's tall, it's okay to say they're tall. If somebody is old, we say they're old. I love it when people say I'm old because I am. If somebody is rich, we say they're rich. If they're a lawyer, we say they're a lawyer. But if you say somebody's fat, of course, that's politically incorrect and you can't do that. What I love most about men is that men usually tell each other they're fat. Two men that haven't seen each other for a long time and they've put on some weight, or one has and one hasn't. I've heard this before. Mate, you haven't been skipping any meals lately, have you? Excuse my expression, but mate, you're a fat fuck. Now, I've never heard a woman say that. Excuse my language, but I've never heard another woman say that to herself or to another woman. But men, it seems to be a normal thing because being fat is just obvious. You are obviously not thin, you're fat. And that's how this beautiful, her name was Gina, and she'll be not unhappy with me to share her name because she was an absolute bloody legend, and here's why. So she comes into my health club, she says, I'm easier to jump over than walk around. I don't want to lose any weight, she says. I don't want to lose any weight. I just want to be able to stand up long enough to do my ironing. I've got children, baskets full of ironing. I've got no energy. I have to sit down to do the ironing. It takes me forever. I just want to have enough energy to do my ironing. And if you're an exercise professional, I'm sharing that with you because most people think that if you go to the gym and you're fat, you must want to lose weight. Well, she was very obvious. I don't want to lose weight. I just want the energy to stand up long enough to do my ironing. That was her number one goal because, of course, you ask people, what is your number one goal? Well, it's a beautiful story because this gorgeous woman not only got more energy to do her ironing, and you can imagine the day when she comes into the gym and she says, Rowie, I just did a basket of ironing in the upright position, and she was passionately excited about it. But not only did she become so passionately excited about the ironing, she decided that she wanted to be an exercise professional. She wanted to help other people to feel as good as she did. Now, in her own words again, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said walking into a class full of potential exercise professionals, personal trainers, gym instructors, aerobic instructors, because it was quite a while ago, and I'm 120 kilos and 5 foot tall. They looked at me as if to say, what are you doing here? You should be in the cooking class, not in the exercise professionals class. She came to our college to study is what I'm sharing with you. She became a top-level exercise professional, and I employed her at my health club. I managed the health club that she came to on that very first day. And she became a very, very popular instructor. She used to teach a HIIT class, high-intensity training, every Funday, Friday evening, and it was packed. And there's something really exciting about watching a 120-kilogram woman sprint across a room, beating the athletic-looking men in the room and them looking at her as if to say, what the? She never lost any weight. Not one skerrick. She was 120 kilos. Of course, she didn't grow any taller. She stayed 120 kilos. but she was really fit and she got really strong. She could leg press all the weights in the gym on the leg press machine. She could sprint across the room. She could do, I don't quote me, but I think 50 push-ups without even blinking. And one of the blokes said to me once, yeah, but it's not fair because she's got this big belly, it's easier for her to do push-ups because she hasn't got very far to go. Isn't it funny how people always find negative things? Now, I can't be any more open and honest than this. There were people that came to my health club and said, I want a personal trainer. I want somebody to inspire me and motivate me to train, but don't give me the fat chick. People would actually say that to me because she was a very popular personal trainer. But she was booked out, and I'm wondering if you can consider why she would be booked out. She was 120 kilos. Now, this might give you a clue. She used to say to people, I'm really fit, I'm really strong, I'm really healthy, I've got a stack of energy, I teach classes, I train people, but I bloody love my food. And I eat pizza and I drink beer and I don't burn it up. I just don't get any fatter. I haven't gotten any fatter, which is awesome, but I'm really healthy. But I love my food. That was her. But who trained with her? And there were people that, yes, don't give me the personal trainer that's the fat chick. They would actually say that to me. Isn't that, I mean, at least they're honest. But she was booked out with not one fat person. Because the fat people would say to me, I don't want to train with the fat lady because she's really fit and she's really strong, but she's still fat. So obviously it doesn't work. So she wasn't inspirational to overweight people either. In fact, she was overweight people's worst nightmare because she was still fat. Her book was full of teenage girls. That was her target market. She didn't target them. They wanted to train with her. When you're in a gym floor, and this is why I hate going to the gym and I never will ever again. And if you love going, congratulations. But I just despise this atmosphere and you'll understand why. It's very competitive. You've got to look good. And if you're on the gym floor and you're a teenage girl and you've got low self-esteem and low self-confidence, it's awesome that your trainer is 120 kilos because not one bloke on the gym floor is going to be looking at the 120 kilogram trainer. She's going to be no threat to you whatsoever. And as Gina would say, I love my young girls. I listen to them talk. I help them with all their hassles and their boyfriend challenges and their dieting challenges, and I tell them how much I love my food because most of the girls don't want to eat food because they're either anorexic or bulimic or heading that direction. She said, I just cuddle them, tell them they're awesome, and I train them really hard. I'm sharing all of that with you because can you be fat and healthy? The answer is yes, because Gina was. She wasn't in the beginning though. And if you don't have enough energy to stand up and do your ironing, that says a lot about how much you need to change what you're doing in your life. Would that be fair? But how about this? How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? And if fat is affecting your health, and if fat is affecting your mental health, then it's dangerous. If I take my dogs to the vet and they're fat, I get in trouble as the owner. If you're a parent, a teacher, a coach, a boss, or a leader, this is a very controversial thing for me to say, but there will be people thinking, why is that adult not looking after that child? Why are they allowing that child to look like that? Now, you might not want them to say that and you might not want them to think that, but they do, and there's a reason for that, because we love kids the same as we love dogs. If you see a fat dog, you feel really sad for the dog. If we see a fat child, we feel sad for the child because we know they're going to get bullied or they haven't got enough energy or they won't be able to play sport or they won't be able to buy clothes. Life will be more complicated for them. So if you have a challenge with being fat, you don't have to be, of course. Get fit, get strong, turn your body into a fat-burning machine. If you eat less calories than you burn off, you will, of course, burn fat. The fat that sits between your skin and your muscle, not dangerous, but you might not like the way it looks, so it might affect your mental health. But here's where it is dangerous. If you've got fat sitting hard inside your belly, visceral fat, that's squishing your organs and stopping them from functioning effectively, particularly your heart and lungs, then you have to make a change because otherwise you'll die. Now, as an adult, we get to choose that. There are so many adults that choose not to exercise. They choose to have excess visceral fat, and they have to accept the consequence they're going to die early. But if you have children, I have dogs. I don't want to die before my dogs. I love my dogs. I want to look after my dogs, so I look after myself so that my dogs can run every day with me. I would love adults to do the same for their kids, and I would really love for kids to never, ever have to go on a diet, never have to do a forced exercise program, never have to go to the gym. The way we used to live, if hunters and gatherers saw us going to the gym to run on a treadmill, wouldn't they say, what for? What are you lifting that piece of metal for? What for? Why don't you go outside and do some work? Lift heavy things while you're working, get puffed outside, and you will be fit and strong. That's how I live my life now. I live in rural New Zealand. I run my dogs every day. I get puffed every day because I sprint. I lift logs and rocks and wheelbarrows full of sand because I want to lift heavy to be strong for the rest of my life. So you get a choice. Our kids, like my dogs, may not get a choice. I feed my dogs, so my dogs look like the way I feed them. I'm going to leave you with that thought and say, please, live your life to the max as a living example for our kids, so that our kids know, because my puppy dogs know, that they can live their life to the max. Super duper doo, how are you? Living my life to the max. This is Aston Bentley having a lovely sunny afternoon. Hello kids, how going? My fit, strong, healthy, lean puppy dogs. Love you. Woohoo!